Hi, I'm Mark Tyrrell of Uncommon Knowledge and hypnosisdownloads.com, and welcome to 7 tips to overcome the fear of rejection. What would life be like if you didn't care whether everybody liked you or not? Stop fear of rejection, limiting your options. So what does all fear really amount to? Loss. We fear losing our health, losing our life, losing our status or reputation or good name, losing money, losing our peace of mind, losing our youth and looks. We also fear, perhaps more than anything else, losing approval from other people. Fear of rejection is widespread. In tribal times, being ejected from the safety of a group could have meant death. So no wonder many of us like to fit in with other people. So fear should keep us alert and safe, like the beam from a lighthouse warning ships of submerged dangers. But too much fear, like a super beam of light, blinding the ship's captain, can cause the loss of the very thing that we fear losing. That's the problem. And this may be especially true when it comes to fear of rejection. So take Kelly, for example, a client of mine. Her fear was taking over her life and damaging her relationships. And she said, I was always the new kid at school, trying desperately to be accepted, to fit in. And I went to 8 different schools in 5 years, and rejection upon rejection. And I can so clearly remember playing on my own and always the new girl, always craving acceptance. That's what Kelly said. And Kelly was convinced that these early outsider experiences were at the root of her current problems. I'm always looking for signs that my partner is about to reject me. It drives him mad. I'm always seeking reassurance, always wondering what he really means. So where do you find your reassurance? Seeking reassurance from other people is a dead end. Reassurance needs to be found from within you, not from other people, or certainly not exclusively from other people. And why do I say this? Because any look or word or action from other people can be warped and wrongly interpreted as an upcoming rejection when it simply isn't. So Kelly's terror of rejection also extended beyond her relationship. She was a budding author and had completed 6 novels, but fear of knockback had until now prevented her from ever submitting any of her work to publishers. So the tips here were created to help you feel more self-assured, which in turn, of course, will lead you to be less needy and more confident that things can work out for the best, or if they don't, that it's not necessarily your fault, something you'll handle successfully and from which you'll move on. Okay? When you fear the consequences of rejection less, then you fear rejection less. So how can you deal with fear of rejection? Number 1, there's nothing to fear but fear itself. So ever hear the term self-fulfilling prophecy? A self-fulfilling prophecy is a false idea about a situation that makes the perception with the belief act in such a way that the false idea comes true. So you wrongly believe your partner is rejecting you, you become defensive and anxious and perhaps angry. And eventually these behaviours may bring about the feared rejection which wasn't there to begin with. Okay, a self-fulfilling prophecy. Someone wrongly believes a group will reject them, so they start feeling angry with the group, and the group rejects them. Okay. Now the prophet feels they were right from the very beginning. I told you so, I knew it, I knew they wouldn't like me. So you see how that works. And in fact, some people just want to be proved right, even if that means a bad outcome. Expecting the worst can act as a type of emotional insurance policy. So look to yourself, how do your beliefs around possible rejection influence your behaviour? And how does that behaviour influence your actions? So you can't start to change your actions until you really start to see what's been going on. So start looking for signs of what is working rather than just signs of what is going wrong or what you believe is going wrong. Number 2, have you thought about how you want to feel? So ever noticed how people having emotional problems often seem to tell you how they don't want to feel? You know, I just don't want to feel scared. I don't want to feel like this anymore. I don't want to feel depressed and so forth. And that's fair enough. But at some point, you need to work out how you do want to feel. Okay. So imagine someone trying to learn a new language and spending all their time focusing on how they don't want to not study, how they don't want to not speak a word on their upcoming holiday, how they don't want to not want to speak that language and so forth. What do they want? Okay, focusing on what they do want. Don't focus on how you don't want to be paranoid, as Kelly described herself. Focus on how you do want to be. You don't learn to jump rope by constantly telling yourself you don't want to fall on your face. Okay, so right here and now, take a few minutes and really think about, or after you've watched this, think about how you want to be in the future around this issue. Relaxed, indifferent, self-assured? Okay. Number 3, do you have any idea how your fear of rejection began? And I know this might seem like a contradiction to the above, what I've just said, but it can be valuable to look to the beginnings of that old fear of rejection. Kelly was sure it came from her school days, and maybe you'd been taught by someone else that rejection is the very worst thing that can happen. Okay. Perhaps you can remember specific times when you felt very rejected before or feared being rejected. Close your eyes and imagine going back to those times as your current self, with all that you've learnt since that time, even the things you've learnt from this fear of rejection video. And imagine reassuring that younger you, your present you, calmly telling that younger you that everything's going to be okay. Okay, and you can do that exercise straight after this video. Now that might sound a bit strange, and you can, as I say, practice that in a moment or so, but it had a powerful impact on the way Kelly felt about those old times, and those old school times that had really been bothering her. Number 4, use your imagination constructively. So trying to think differently is a small part of actually changing. So the truth is, our thoughts don't always determine our feelings. And that's a very widespread idea, isn't it? But actually, emotion has to be quicker than thought, because emotions have to do with our survival. So we're more likely to think differently when we feel differently first. So see reference 1 and 2. So this is why we use hypnosis. Hypnosis can work directly with how people feel when they experience situations, and therefore bypass the impracticalities of trying to change someone's thought processes when they're highly emotional. It's very difficult to change your thinking if you're highly emotional. So hypnosis is used to rehearse feeling change so that people can then naturally think differently without having to force it. Okay. For example, once a spider phobic starts to feel relaxed around spiders, they can then naturally think differently about spiders. Okay, but the feeling changes before the thoughts do. So close your eyes after this session and use your imagination to strongly rehearse feeling and acting differently in situations where normally you'd feel insecure. Number 5, distrust your own opinion sometimes. So people who never learn to question their own assumptions, however emotionally clouded they were when they jumped to them, make life harder. If your perception is always so accurate, maybe you should get around to winning that lottery sometime. Okay. Part of my therapy with Kelly was to make her less sure of herself, to start doubting that she just knows what her partner is thinking or what is going to happen. Being more confident in life partly means being less sure that you know what's going to happen. Less sure of yourself in some ways makes you more sure of yourself. So you can relax and allow for the possibility of both bad and good outcomes. Relaxing with not knowing is the key to confidence and also to enjoying life. Number 6, I will survive. I wrote for 12 years and collected 250 rejection slips before getting any fiction published, so I guess outside reinforcement isn't all that important to me, wrote the best-selling author Lisa Althor. Fear of rejection, and in fact any fear, thrives on end-of-the-world thinking. What if he leaves me? What if she rejects me? What if no one wants to speak to me at the party? It'll just be the end. It'll be complete Armageddon. If we feel that rejection will mean the end of the world for us, then we will fear it above everything else, if the fear has power over us. But if you sit down and think, okay, if this relationship did end, how will I manage it? Then you're facing your fear constructively. Of course you'll survive. Of course you'll manage it. And you may even thrive in many ways. Knowing you'll be okay, whatever happens, gives you huge amounts of confidence and makes it easier to finally switch off the old automatic rejection detector, which is faulty anyway. So we human types are very bad at accurately predicting how upset we'll be by future misfortune. So check out reference 3. So ask yourself, okay, if this future disaster I keep scaring myself with were to happen, what are 5 constructive ways I could cope and eventually thrive again? Okay, perhaps pretty quickly. Tell yourself a story, you could even write it down, of how you'll allow yourself to be upset for a while, but then begin to cope very well. So you're setting a new blueprint. Just doing this will allow you to feel less fear around the possibility of rejection. Number 7, question what rejection really means. If a man discovers a diamond in the earth, but through ignorance or short-sightedness believes it to be worthless, and so throws it away, does this tell us more about the diamond or the man? Whether someone rejects someone else can tell us so much more about the rejectors than the rejected. Consider what people have rejected in the past. Life-saving medicine because they didn't recognize its value, signing a contract with the Beatles, publishing the eventual best-selling book Catch-22, which was rejected 21 times by different publishers and sold 10 million copies, Vincent van Gogh's paintings, and of course wonderful partners. If someone does reject you, don't inevitably feel it's because you're unlovable or destined to be alone, because what they've done is give you a very clear feedback about themselves. Okay, so Kelly grew beyond her old fear of rejection and is now happy to enjoy her present and let the future do whatever it likes, as she says. So I hope you found that useful, and if you did, please hit like and subscribe. And if you want to hear when my next video is published, hit the notification bell below. I'm Mark Tyrrell of Uncommon Knowledge and hypnosisdownloads.com. And if you'd like to try some of my personal development products, head over to hypnosisdownloads.com and take a look around. And thanks for watching.